digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. You can help by joining one of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's 130 Take Steps walks. Sign up today at cctakesteps.org. Take a step, register today.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. In his first Sunday on the job, Pope Francis gave his first Angelus address to the tens of thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square. Earlier, he once again acted on his impulses.
Pope Francis again surprised all when earlier today he broke security protocol, joined the crowds, kissed the babies, shook the hands outside of his early morning mass at the Vatican. In his improvised homily, the 76-year-old Argentinian elected pope last Wednesday said God is forgiving and does not judge.
Fox's Courtney Walsh in Rome. The Pope later tweeted, telling followers, I thank you from my heart, and I ask you to continue to pray for me. Throwing red meat to her conservative fan base.
Barack Obama promised the most transparent administration ever. Barack Obama, you lie.
Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin addressing the CPAC conference Saturday. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
That dadgum government. Good morning, Muskegon. This is Ion Muskegon, and I'm Jim Riley, your fuzzy little friendly host, interested in engaging with everybody in our wonderful community. And I'm here in Muskegon's Clear Channel Studios with my friend and engineer, the ever-ticking Oscar Osbo, the man who put the O in radio, as we all know. And sitting right beside me here so that we can have a stellar video of this show on Mondays from 8 to 9:30.
Without my 44-ounce cup in front of my face.
In HD, yes. Flaunting Mayor Bloomberg's rules against unhealthy portions is gentleman farmer, sea captain, Captain Fred Birch. And good morning,
Fred
and Oscar.
And good morning to both of you.
And, hey, we do not, and I did this on purpose because I knew I had such a brilliant set of IQs all floating around this studio this morning. We don't have a guest.
Anyway.
We have no plan for this morning.
That's right.
Pretty much. So, Oscar, let's go back with the music. No, we do. We're not going to have a guest because there are just too many things on the plate here. But that means that you can phone in. The number, 231-830-3109. And, if you forget this number, which certainly is easy to do, you can always find it if you go online to eyeonmuskegon.com, and that's EYE on Muskegon, all one word, .com, and that number's, I think it's up there on the left side of the of the blog. And, of course, we do post the video or the audio of the show initially, and then if Oscar can overcome his techno problems, we do post the video there too. So if you need information, we got it for you. Also, on the right-hand column of that eyeonmuskegon.com blog is a listing of the phone numbers, the most recent ones we can find, and the email addresses of our elected representatives here in Muskegon County. So that would include our Republican state senator, Jeff Hansen. Our two Democrat elected state representatives, Marcia Hovey-Wright and the new one, Colleen Lamonte, and all 9 of our county commissioners. So if you're interested in contacting them.
Are you not going to go through their names?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'll let the folks who hit that blog go do that. And the reason I mention that is because we were talking off air before the show. What can we do? What possible things can we do to stave off some of the negative repercussions of spending and other bonehead decisions that are made on it seems like almost a minutely basis by our leaders? And one of the things that you can do is pick up the phone and call them. You really ought to be calling your city and township folks, too, if you are not happy with the decision that they've made, or you'd like to congratulate them or support them in a tough decision that they may have been made.
Absolutely.
So, hey, one of the things I always like to do if I can is start off with a quote, or at least maybe not start off, but at some point early in the show. And this is from Thomas Paine, someone from the revolutionary days. Hopefully most of you listening out there are familiar with Tom Paine. But this is a quote that I think really does matter. It says, quote, "If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace." And the reason I bring that quote up is that what are we doing to our children and grandchildren? We are taking the trouble that we ought to be facing today, and that is making sure that we're paying for what we're spending, and we are putting it down the road so that our children and grandchildren will not be in peace, so that they will not only have to pay for whatever is necessary in police and other public services that they may need at the time, but they'll also have to pay for those services that we have decided to take and given them the bill.
Well, it's kind of
Something's
interesting
wrong.
because that goes hand in hand with the Adams quote, which I can't quote totally, but essentially he said that he studied war and politics and economics so that his children could study engineering,
Yes.
and then his grandchildren could study arts and humanities. And well, we've pretty well passed the time where his grandchildren have grown, and now we are studying basket weaving.
Well,
and
you know,
things.
I don't disagree with you. Matter of fact, I think that's a great quote. Sometimes one would wish that our students were studying basket weaving. Here's a couple of interesting articles that I have put on my show prep. By the way, this Ion Muskegon website, I do put my show prep on, and in a quasi-organized fashion. If you're so inclined, you can look at the links.
That was me snorting.
There we go. Well, it is. I take a little bit of time. I'm kind of proud of this. But you can also get it on the MuskegonPundit.com. But University of Texas or University of Tennessee is using student fees, which are essentially they force you to pay the student fees. So it's a cost of going to the university to pay for a lesbian bondage expert to come in and to make a presentation. So in other words, you don't
What is she doing?
pay at the door.
Tying knots or something?
Let me tell you, I
you can
don't
go to the Boy Scouts for that if you want.
I can't tell you for sure, but I can read off to you most of the things that are listed here. There are apparently 30 events planned. Again, this is the University of Tennessee is paying or requiring students, so whether you attend or not, to pay for this lesbian bondage expert. And some of the events are, quote, number one, getting laid. Another one, sex positively, queer as a verb. That's all apparently one of the events. Here's one that I think, I don't know, perhaps if you were a dog owner, you might be interested in this. Bow Chicka Bow Wow. W-O-A-H. Bow Chicka Bow Wow. Bow Wah? I don't know. Anyway, that apparently is of interest to certainly
like
the folks.
a porno tune, I think? Is
I
what
don't-
that
You know,
is?
quite honestly, I am speechless.
Well, here's another. Well, loud and queer, and how many licks does it take? A workshop about oral sex. So
Oh, my.
this is you
can't make
denigrate-
this. You can't make this
You
stuff.
denigrate.
No.
You
You know,
denigrate.
truth is stranger than fiction these days.
You know,
and
basket
cannot make
weaving.
this stuff up.
You denigrate basket weaving, and
yeah,
and here we
underwater
go.
basket weaving.
Well, there we go.
Is this like
So-
the David Letterman show we're doing right now, or what? I don't know.
You know,
next thing you know,
honestly, I
is-
wish, but this is what's going on at a time when we're being told by literally everybody from the President of the United States all the way on down that governments are lean and mean. They've cut to the bone. They've cut to the grizzle. There's nothing that they could cut any longer because they're just so wise with the monies that they are taking from you, literally at the point of a gun. And the reason I say that is try not paying your taxes and see what happens. They will come to your house with a gun and take your house and a variety of other things that you probably would prefer they didn't take. So
Talk to Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
well, that's right. If you don't pay your taxes,
On the road
and I
again.
think most of us agree you ought to pay your taxes, but I do think that some of us, and sadly not most, but some of us think that our government ought to be a little wiser
Well, interestingly,
in how they spend their money.
Interestingly, read an article the other day about Detroit where you've got somewhere around 50% of the landowners, the property owners in Detroit, do not pay their taxes any longer. Right. And when
Yeah, they've just chosen to flat out not pay them, and the
correct,
city's
correct.
aware of it too.
Exactly, and they're aware of it. And when asked about it, some of the prominent property owners said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense for me to pay the property taxes because if they seize my property, then I go to the auction and I buy it back at a lower price than what the taxes would be." And in most cases, the city just doesn't bother to seize property anymore.
It's the new American way.
Yeah, this is, again, truth is stranger than fiction. You can't make this stuff up. Not in my wildest dreams. I couldn't write a novel about this stuff.
Honestly, if you did write a novel about it, it would not sell because people like me and others who do buy novels would say this is ridiculous. This could never happen. But in fact, the same example you gave in just a little form is being done now all over the country and has been, I guess, now for some years. And that is if your house has been foreclosed upon, in particular if you had a government-guaranteed mortgage, if you can get a friend or relative to buy your house in foreclosure, and then you can buy their house in foreclosure, you can end up freed of all back taxes. You can end up buying the same house and freed of the mortgage, and buying the same house and essentially staying in the same house because who knows who lives where. Right. At a significantly reduced cost. This is a scam that is very popular within the cities. It is actually actively being proposed by government employees within these various cities.
Yeah, and we're paying, and they're being paid. The government employees are being paid by your tax dollars in order to ensure that we don't get the tax dollars that we would have gotten otherwise. And this all leads to my next little comment, which is that another article that I read recently said that 3/4 of the counties in the United States are in trouble financially. Perhaps not to the point where they're going to collapse, but are in trouble. And, people moving out, gentrification, all of these different issues that go on with counties. And we're talking counties. And remember that counties...
3/4 of the counties in the United States.
In the United States. And if you think about the fact that counties and municipalities can, in fact, go bankrupt...
Well, we have one right here in the Muskegon Heights School District.
When they go bankrupt, what ends up happening is that contracts are all renegotiated, all reopened. So, we have this big flood.
You mean employee contracts?
Employee contracts, all contracts.
Any contract.
Any
sure.
contract. This is bankruptcy court.
Electricity or whatever.
When Governor Snyder appointed our friend to become the emergency manager of Detroit, the first thing he said was, we're going to go in here, we're going to try to manage this stuff, and we aren't going to try to renegotiate the pensions, etc. But you know what? If I have to, I'll take the city through bankruptcy, and you don't want that because I understand what bankruptcy is all about, and I'll just renegotiate all the contracts, including pensions, etc. So here we are. We're going down this road. When things start to collapse, or if they start to collapse, and they are collapsing in various places like Detroit, the people that think that they are safe, that they have lots and lots of safeguards for them, in actuality, if the cities or the counties or whatever go bankrupt, there are no safeguards.
Well, you're 100% right, and not only are there no safeguards, it's totally uncharted territory because we don't really know. There have been a few cities and a few counties that are on the brink of declaring bankruptcy. I think most of us here, certainly in Muskegon, and I would imagine in the rest of Michigan, realize that nothing good can come of what we have allowed, or at least our leaders have allowed Detroit to become. And what I mean by that is that we have been pouring a disproportionate amount of federal, state, and other monies into Wayne County, primarily into the city of Detroit. And that has done nothing to fix the cesspool, the carbuncle of financial suicide that's been going on within that city for decades and decades. And now that we've got a governor who said, well, I'm going to go in there and fix it. Well, when we've got 50% of the people not even bothering to pay property taxes, proudly in some cases, and you've got the leaders in the city not even bothering to have it collected, what possible good can come of our governor? And I'm certainly hoping for good things, but I think we all know what's going to happen is more millions and millions and millions, probably in the billions at some point, will be poured into the city of Detroit. And it will be poured in not from the pot of Mr. Bad Guy, Rich Guy. It's going to be poured in from the pot of money that we could use for roads, or we could use for police, or in fact
for our own pensions.
Our own pensions instead of these others. So it's going to get worse, folks, and unless we can do some things about it, and we have that opportunity. But first, we got to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Heads up. Radio Juniper is a new one-hour show every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on News Talk 1090 WKBZ. I think you'll like it, but Wednesday at 9 a.m. is when you watch People's Court. So, here's the solution. Turn the sound down on People's Court and turn the volume up on Radio Juniper. They sync together better than Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz. It's spooky. Google that reference if you need to, and I'll see you Wednesday on News Talk 1090 WKBZ.
Every 1.7 seconds, a person is victimized by crime in the U.S. An assault occurs every 9 seconds. Home invasions are a growing trend. Now is the time to shield yourself. Port City Pistol, 4250 Airline Road, or PortCityPistol.com.
Hey, it's Erin Andrews, and I made the switch to SK Energy Shots. Why? Because trying to cover every sport in America requires hard work and high energy. So when I need that energy boost to be my best, instead of those chemical-filled sports and energy drinks, I drink SK Energy Shots. SK is a better source of energy, made for people who care about what goes into their bodies. They're made with antioxidants and vitamins, with none of the bad stuff.
SK Energy Shots, voted #1 in energy. Make the switch to a better source of energy today. Available at GNC, CVS, and your local retailers.
Ah, the sound of small business, getting busier. Can you tell which one is using AT&T? Truth is, they all are, because businesses of all kinds can find AT&T customizable plans that fit their exact needs. Whether it's broadband, mobility, or nationwide voice, at AT&T, we can help your business get humming.
I need more receipt paper, please.
Call 1-855-877-4288 today and ask about special offers available for new small business packages. AT&T, rethink possible.
Tammy has been pulled over. She's searching through her glove box for proof of insurance. Should she A, call an out-of-work superhero with X-ray vision, or B, use her digital ID card on Geico's mobile app? The correct answer is B. Geico's mobile app can pull up her proof of insurance faster than a superhero. Plus, X-ray vision can get embarrassing quick, and superheroes don't exist. Geico's mobile app is real, free, and available 24/7. It never sleeps.
Geico. Wherever, whenever. Just a click away with our free mobile app.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well,
Okay, folks, we are back. We don't have our hands in your pockets, but there's certainly a lot of folks out there. This is Ian Muskegon. Got Fred Birch, got Oscar Oswald, got your cuddly little Jim Riley here saying nice things about everybody.
He wishes somebody would cuddle next to him, you know. I don't know.
Honey Bunch cuddles, but
Yeah.
it's
Hey, you know,
not always.
I just want to bring up real quick. You know, you talked about government and the money and stuff. Remember that guy with the kind of nerdy glasses that used to come on TV and sell those books?
Yeah.
They were like 500
Oh, yeah,
pages
he had the
thick
thing with
of
the question
free-
marks on it.
I actually bought one of those at a garage
Yeah,
sale.
so did
once.
I.
Just
Like-
to find out what it was.
Like 500 pages of ways you can get money from the government.
How do you make your living from the government? That's pretty.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there used to be a time, and I don't think it was that long ago. Certainly things exploded under this current administration, but government has been exploding for a long time. But there was a time when many of the things the government did, made sense. There is right now the Senate Democrats. And again, I hate to say this, folks, not that I'm proud of other Republicans, because I most certainly am not, but the people who are driving so many of these outrages are the Democrats. And here's one right now. The Senate Democrats are blocking, actually they succeeded in blocking an effort to end the USDA-Mexico food stamp promotion partnership. We are spending American tax dollars to advertise and to employ probably Mexicans in Mexico to inform Mexican citizens how they can access American benefits, which would be, of course, it's not food stamps any longer. You get a Mexican credit card or a credit card and all the various
and
other.
why are you surprised?
Well, no, I'm not surprised. I'm trying to bring this information to people because too often I'm told that there's no difference between the political parties.
Well,
let's be clear here. The Republicans have said this is a bad idea. We should not be paying our money to other countries and spending it in other countries so that they can get free stuff from us. The Democrats in the United States Senate have blocked this attempt of what I would call common sense.
Let me add another one to you. In Colorado, they just passed a magazine ban on
gun
magazines for in excess of a certain amount of rounds. I think the excess was 10 rounds. But in that law, which the sponsor of the bill says that she didn't realize that it was in the bill, but it turned out to be in the bill, and then they passed the law, and now they're finding out what the ramifications are, says that, and you can't have magazines or sell magazines that can be modified to hold more than the number of rounds that they specified. Well, the problem with that is, of course, is that virtually all magazines, by just removing the bottom plate on the clip, can be modified to hold more rounds. So they have essentially banned all magazines, all clips in Colorado at this point.
Well, this gives you a sense. This story, I think, is a perfect example. Of course, and it harkens back to the Nancy Pelosi statement that we've got to pass the bill so that we know what's in it. Now, of course, we're finding out any number of awful things are in this.
A $63 tax on everybody for the next 10 years. Did you see that one?
No.
That's the one. That's the latest one that came out. There's a $63 tax. I think it's a monthly tax on your health bills, on your health care insurance, in order to help the health insurance folks pay for the pre-existing conditions. And the second thing that came out this week was that many of the provisions for the different things apply to veterinary care. Well, that may not mean a whole big thing if you only own some little corgi and go to the vet, once every 5 years. But when you're a farmer and you own 3 horses and sheep and
you are Farmer
goats,
Fred.
Exactly. That's a huge deal. If the vet now costs X amount more money per visit, that's a huge deal for me.
I'd not heard that. Okay, That's an interesting extrapolation because, again, I had thought I've got a little kitten or what have you.
Stand by for your food prices to rise again.
Because of the bill that we had to pass so that we would know what's inside it. Well, there's an additional, just a little anecdote, but to give you the sense, and folks, our leaders, the people who we elect, and then they, of course, rule over the various employees. And in this
peasants.
case, we apparently are the peasants. At least we certainly we do vote and we do elect the people in this country. Certainly in this county, our voices have been heard, and our voices generally have been heard in saying, "Hey, we love the job you're doing." Certainly at the county level. But at Muskegon County, not long ago, was presented, and thankfully it was tabled for a short period of time, but was presented a new set of rules that the county commissioners and others would agree to take care of their behavior and a variety of other things. But 2 of them I found quite interesting. One was the forced removal of anybody's hat. In other words, if you walk into the county commissioner's august area on the 4th floor and you wore a hat, you were required to take it off. So that's a dress code in order to go to a public meeting, which I believe is totally unconstitutional and totally unenforceable. And once they put it in place, I will be wearing my hat. So we'll see what happens there. But the other one...
Well, they want you to remain uncovered because it's a sign of subservience.
Well, it's a sign of respect, which, of course, you earn respect, you don't demand it. And it is a sign of subservience. And who knows, maybe they'll have prayer mats that we can all, prostrate ourselves on prior to these. But the one that I mentioned, I want to bring up here, which is the most, to me, just indicative of the hard work. And I know that, again, I'll mention this because the gentleman who did come out and say we've worked really hard on this was a Republican County Commissioner, Bob Skolnick. When this was tabled, he said, geez, we spent a lot of time on this. We really like to pass this. It made illegal, made unallowed, I guess you would say, the use of any electronic device during the meetings. by anybody, not just the county commissioners, but people sitting in the peanut gallery like myself, other than recording devices. So that meant, by the way it was written, and this was brought up as, hey, this is a bad idea, and Commissioner Skolnick still stood by his support of this basket full of rules. That meant that if I was sitting in the peanut gallery there in the viewers area, I couldn't look at or read my cell phone if I happen to have a message. I couldn't, in my case, I use a computer, a laptop computer. Many people sit out there and use iPads. You're not allowed to do that. But even more importantly, every one of the county commissioners has a free, we pay for it, iPad. Again, this is County Commissioner Bob Skolnick's big push of a couple years ago. We not only pay for the iPads, but we paid for the connection every month. So we pay the $30 a month for every single county commissioner. None of the county commissioners, by this rule, would be allowed to utilize or turn on their iPads.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
So this is the thought. This is the deep analysis that goes into the proposals that are brought by our betters.
It really comes down to, the intrusion into people's lives. Who believes that people are free and have free will, and who believes that government should tell us what's best for ourselves, whether it's drinking 44-ounce Wesco diet sodas,
which I see right here. It's quite offensive to me.
Or whether or not we're allowed to have high-capacity flush toilets, or whether or not we're allowed to have incandescent light bulbs, or use our electronic devices where we want, and can we wear hats inside a building?
Well, you can be sure.
These are intrusions into our personal liberty, and for a country that was founded upon free will and freedom, it is astonishing to me that our government stands athwart of those freedoms in our lives.
Well, it doesn't astonish me because we seem to support those same intrusions, but we will be back to disagree again right after this. After we got news and all sorts of stuff, but we will be back. We're going to talk about Muskegon and Michigan stuff too.
Oh, don't you love me sometime?
Can you really lose weight with hypnosis?
I started at 311. I've lost 65 pounds, and I'm not done. I'll be down to 200 pounds by Christmas.
That's Michael Colby of Fort Wayne, Indiana, after just one session with America's best-known hypnotist, John Morgan.
That very next day, I didn't have any cravings. My sweet tooth was gone.
Whether you want to lose weight and keep it off or stop smoking once and for all, a John Morgan hypnotist will be here soon.
I'm an ex-Marine, so I know all about suggestion and all that. I knew it would work.
Thanks to John Morgan, Michael's whole life has changed.
I used to live to eat, now I eat to live.
Join John Morgan hypnotist Mark Pasnek Thursday, March 28th at the Shoreline Inn and Conference Center, adjacent to the Lake House Restaurant in Muskegon. Smoking cessation is at 6 p.m., weight loss at 8 p.m. Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com. Sessions are affordable at $59.95.
Best advertisement for you guys is that it was effortless.
Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com.
The Talk of Muskegon is News Talk 1090 WKBZ Muskegon and heard 24 hours a day on WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
Golfers, it's the 15th annual golf liquidation sale at the Sherman Bowling Center with free admission and parking. Get great deals like Callaway Razor XHL irons for only $299.99 or a Cleveland Classic driver for only $99.99. Don't miss the golf liquidation sale this Friday through Sunday at the Sherman Bowling Center in Muskegon.
Hey sportsmen, this is your show, the Ultimate Sports Show in Grand Rapids.
Over 4 acres of hunting, fishing, manufacturers, dealers, and specialty baits. Book the trip of a lifetime at the Outfitters Expo, and there's no better way to buy your new fishing boat. Huge selections from West Michigan dealers who specialize in fishing boats, and all it takes to rig them right. Register to win a fly-in fishing trip to Expeditions North Lodge in Ontario. It's a 1-week trip for 2 people, and that's March 21st through the 24th at DeVos Place. That's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about, guys.
Baby!
Don't go another day paying too much for your auto loan. Service One Federal Credit Union has low competitive rates. Apply today and save money on your auto loan every month. Service One Federal Credit Union on Sherman Boulevard and on Eastwind Drive just south of the Lakes Mall. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pam Puso. History at the Vatican. Bells tolling throughout St. Peter's Square as Pope Francis celebrates his first Mass and delivers his first blessing to a cheering crowd.
It is traditionally done from the papal apartments to the gathered masses in the square below. Now, normally, of course, this does attract a number of people. Today, an exceptional number of people turned out.
Sky News reporter Robert Nisbet in Rome. It must be nice to be back on dry land. More than 2,500 passengers aboard the troubled Carnival Legend are disembarking in Tampa, Florida. Last week, the ship was forced to cancel 2 port stops after it had problems reaching full speed. This as the cruise line's 4th ship to experience problems in less than a month. Those aboard the Carnival Dream last week had to be flown home from St. Martin. We're just about an hour away from a verdict in an Ohio rape case. 2 high school football players were accused of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl at an alcohol-fueled party last August. Prosecutors say the girl was treated like a toy, while the defense maintains guilt has not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt.